We're live on YouTube, X, Rumble, about to be live on Rockfin. Ian's very excited.
Always.
We didn't even coordinate this. We're wearing the same hat.
Father Christmas. This is my Father Christmas hat.
For the Christmas. What will you bringing me on Christmas Eve? For not everyone gets presents on Christmas Eve, Tiny Tim. Your family is poor.
Father Christmas.
I will kick your cane out from under you.
Ah! I can't get up, Father
Get into my bag.
That's some voice acting for you.
Yeah, that's how voice act. This is how voice acting works.
Yeah, just close your eyes. If you were watching that, you need to rewind it and close your eyes and listen again.
And you got to imagine old British, London, and just really mean Santa Claus.
Cobblestone streets, constantly wet, moss everywhere.
Yeah, just shoving Tiny Tim and every cripple in his bag. Who knows what happens? Maybe that's a movie we'll make now. Speaking of the subject we're going to be talking about
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim's Revenge. Is Hollywood detransitioning and how to propagandize ourselves with our own money? This Propaganda Report, I'm Brad Binkley, joined here by Ian Covell. I think we're live. We're live on Instagram also and Facebook. That works sometimes. Other times it doesn't work. I don't know if there's comments that happen on there because I don't ever see them, but if you're commenting and I'm not seeing them, I apologize. I hope everybody's having a good Christmas season. I reminded people last show that Christmas starts on December 25th. That's just the partridge in the pear tree. There's 11 more days of Christmas after that. So I think we need to embrace that so we can stop allowing those people who enjoy Hanukkah to brag about the 8 days that they get, because we get
presents every day of Christmas.
Yeah, right. Every single day you
Santa
spend.
keeps coming back.
Yeah, he gets
Every
exhausted going down your chimney.
Yeah.
12 straight days, but that's what he's got to do. Oh, you get Tiny Tim for Christmas.
Put me back in that bag.
Yeah, just tell him to shut up and do what you want. Yeah, it'd be a Christmas movie that maybe this detransitioning of Hollywood might
all these little
produce.
English children are kidnapped by Father Christmas to work and make toys for wealthy children.
Yeah, they're the they're the elves producing toys for wealthy children. The wealthy children only get enjoyment out of the toys if they see the Tiny Tim elves suffering while they're building them. It's the only way it works. All right, I thought you might. What's up, Bad Christian and Sam? I thought you might be interested in this story, Ian. Let's see what your thoughts are. I think there's a little more going on to this than meets the eye. I think it's a trick, but in part anyway. I'll tell you what I mean by that here in a minute. But the story is from the Telegraph. Hollywood's great unwokening has been unleashed.
Yes.
It could be very exciting for us.
It could be exciting. Let's find out.
The article argues that recently released movies, specifically they talk about Pixar's Inside Out 2, Civil War the movie, and the movie Twisters, that these films are evidence that cinema has finally entered its post-woke era. And then the writer talks about how after Trump won in 2016, Hollywood overtly sided against him, styling itself as the pop cultural wing of the resistance in an effort that they say failed. And the reason that this effort, this writer says, failed is because Hollywood doing this resulted in popular studio franchises and their corresponding publicity tours to promote the movies. They came off as shrill and hectoring, which according to Cambridge Dictionary means talking and behaving in a loud and unpleasant, forceful way, especially in order to get someone to act or think as you want, which I think is a pretty perfect word to describe Hollywood film and TV over the past 8 years. And the article then goes on, and this isn't a publication that's written from a pro-Trump perspective at all. This is British people who their perspective is we're stuck in the middle of this. We want to enjoy all these gay woke movies, but the U.S. is having this internal cultural battle and is playing out in film.
And this is their chief film critic.
Their chief film critic. Yeah. That's he's only writing the most important.
I am chief film critic.
Get in here, Tiny Tim.
Enter my TP.
The article says, or it points out, really what anyone whose mind eluded capture the past decade has noticed for a long time, which is that this shrill and hectoring behavior that they're describing from Hollywood made Hollywood out to be an easily mockable enemy to populists, they say. Of course, it's pretty clear that you don't have to be a populist to find that iteration of Hollywood as easily mockable. It is kind of funny that this article that is pointing out itself how easily mockable Hollywood became is still trying to do it in a way where it makes it seem like anyone who mocks Hollywood is a populist.
Right. The person who wrote this, chief film critic, is not a populist. No, I am not a populist.
No. I'm just pointing out what the populists point out. I don't mock them though. I just find them mockable. So I guess you can find something mockable without actually engaging in the mocking. Mm-hmm. He's an observer. He would probably say. So then, I'm an observer, is more likely how he would say it. So then he says, he describes this period of Hollywood as one in which watching, from his perch over there in London or wherever, over in America, ideological point scoring took precedence over everything else, no matter how witless or deep. Very true. Also sounds a little mocking, like a populist might sound, but we know he's not one. And then he really hits the nail on the head when he... Let's see if I can find that spot in the article here. What was... Okay.
Oh, I like
when he says, what was striking about the movie Twisters was that...
Only a British person uses the word striking.
They have a lot of...
absolutely striking to me about Twisters.
Right. There's a lot of words I had to look up.
Striking to me.
Very pretentious British language. What was striking about the movie Twisters was that the progressive talking points you might have been braced for in the film about extreme weather.
Here we go again.
I can just see this guy go, where's the climate change talking points? I wasted my money.
Why is that Republican still alive?
Why is there a heterosexual white couple in this movie?
Where is the trans person?
Stopping the twister. Their self. So their self works. What was so striking about the movie Twisters was that the progressive talking points you might have been braced for in a film about extreme weather, the perils of climate change, perhaps for the gullibility of the good old Republican voting country folk, were nowhere to be found. Instead, the film hemmed ordinary human ingenuity. Ingenuity, thank you.
You're welcome.
And courage.
We're doing really good.
Thank you. And it emphasized the necessity of cooperation in extreme circumstances. Very aptly, this blockbuster, squally blockbuster.
Squally
which means like windy.
Stuff.
He has to throw like a little tornado reference in there. This squally blockbuster.
Just because you invented the language doesn't mean you can abuse it like this.
Right. Right.
This is disgusting.
This is a guy who really enjoys saying words other people don't understand.
Yeah.
Put something simply, I will never, this guy would say.
Yeah.
The squally blockbuster sensed which way the wind was blowing. Very nice quip there. The squally, windy blockbuster sensed which way that wind was blowing. And with the then impending presidential election shaping up as a sequel to 2016, suggested an alternative conciliatory track for the film industry. Now, the alternative track, this is the same type of language the Indivisible and the Resistance 2.0 is also talking in terms of, which I'll make that connection here in a bit. But the writer then contrasts two 2024 films, neither of which, I haven't seen either of these, but he believes these kind of best illustrate the differenes that we're going to see in the woke era of films versus this new post-woke, unwokening era that he says has already begun. And those films are Disney's Mona 2 and Universal's Wicked. Have you seen either of those?
You know, I stood in line all night to see Wicked, and the tickets
couldn't get in?
just all sold out. I couldn't get in.
You forgot your broom?
I forgot my broom.
Yeah, your face was painted.
To go back.
You had black and green face.
I did. I have to go see Wicked.
Yeah, you got to paint a layer of black on your face first, and then you got to cover that with green.
My goodness.
That's how you go watch Wicked.
When I want, sorry, but watching those two in those press conferences is like love acting.
It's a little weird.
Fucking actors.
It's a little weird. And Ariana Grande, I mean, she needs to eat something.
Dude, seriously.
She looks unhealthy.
It's an unhealthy. She looks like where Christina Ricci was kind of going for a little while. And,
yeah.
What's her name? I can't remember. Remember, there's a. Never mind. Let's not go. We're getting sidetracked with 90s
bulimia.
90s bulimia. Heroin chic.
Yeah. That's back when bulimia was fun. There was drugs and cocaine. Now it's just weird. Those interviews are strange.
Remember that model Twiggy?
No.
Yeah, she was a waif. Remember that term?
A waif? No, what's waif mean?
WAIF. They were waifs. That's what you used to call skinny girls.
Oh, okay. Because they just waif away?
Just
oh, I see. So there was another interview with those two where they were I think it was the same person interviewing them. They were talking about how Ariana Grande was like, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know what you were talking. So she was just like making stuff up. That's why it was so weird, apparently. Or that's what they're saying. Because they were so confused about what nobody knew what anybody else was talking about. So they were all just going. It's like an improv scene that nobody knew what it was about.
God, thank you so much.
Yeah,
it was funny. It was funny to watch.
It was strange for sure. So here's how they kind of describe these two movies. It says that they call them both family films, and both of the movies center on and are arguably primarily aimed at young women, but their heroines could hardly be more ideologically opposed. It says Wicked's Elphaba, the Green Witch, the writer says, is a character that is a holdover from the resist at all cost days, one that lives her values loud and proud, even if it means torching friendships, family bonds, and career prospects in the process. This is funny because this guy sides with this approach right here. You burn it all down approach.
Yeah, live your values loud and proud.
Like saying it like the movies that don't do this is an insult to say they don't do this.
Yeah, if you have Christian values, we're not talking about those values.
If you're still talking to your family, you might as well be Tiny Tim in Santa's bag, according to this. Brit over here. And this says, while the Mona protagonist is, by contrast, leading a disparate, multi-generational group of her fellow islanders in a quest to reunite Oceania's splintered tribes. To me, that doesn't seem very unwoke.
Hands across the divide. That's what it says in parentheses there. All very hands across the divide.
Right, yeah. People working together. It's a bipartisan movie, I guess is the argument.
This is so British. Anything optimistic, the Brits like, oh, please, no optimism, please.
Nate says the first Mona was solid. JC says make bulimia fun again. Yeah, I think that's some hats we could sell, maybe. Make bulimia fun again. Another example of this great unwokening that the article talks about is Pixar's Inside Out 2, as I mentioned, a film that the studio had a lot riding on because I'm sure there's other reasons, but the article points to the failure of the movie Lightyear, a sequel to, is that Toy Story?
Yeah, wasn't that the one that they made super woke?
Yes.
They made it super woke.
Exactly. So the articles blame the failure of it on the inclusion of the gay kiss between Buzz's commanding officer and her wife. And as a result, what the executives did for Inside Out 2, because so much was riding on this film, is they told the creatives at Pixar to make Inside Out 2 less gay. I can find that in the article. Less gay. You see there.
All right, guys. We're gonna give you some money to make another one of your fucking cartoons, but could you please make it a lot less fucking gay?
No animated pixels kissing in this one that is the same sex.
Now look, I thought having the ladies make out was gonna be a compromise. I thought it was a win-win.
Can they scissor, boss? Can they scissor?
Oh wait, that's even gayer. Come on, we need some good old-fashioned
Haven't you heard of bros that cuddle that are straight? You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how everybody talks in Hollywood.
Yeah. Hey, I'm from Hollywood.
I'm so gay. Well, I'm post woke now. I'm straight now. Is Hollywood's position. And okay, so they told him to make it less gay, and then they made him rework scenes depicting a friendship between a 13-year-old character and an older classmate to make sure no one would potentially see them as not straight. Because why would you want to, convey two animated underage people as having strange sexual relationships before they really know what they might be? I can see them wanting to do that, and so this became the most selling or the highest box office Pixar movie of all time, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, it was not only the biggest film of this year, according to this guy. It was also the most successful animated movie ever released. Just take the gay out, and the money comes in.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Because come on, I mean, did they make it like 50% less gay? 60% less
No, you got to go zero gay, and then the money is raking in. Really, I think I don't know if this is the case for this one, but
so it was like a porn. It was like like a straight porn.
Yeah,
is that what it was?
It was. That's what this Pixar movie was. It was a straight. It's rated X. It's a straight porn.
Hey, it's Inside Out, baby.
Right. Yeah. It's Big Sausage Pizza animated.
Inside Out could be the name of a porn.
Right. I'm sure it is the name of a porn. There's probably already a parody of this movie that's been made. But I've watched a couple movies this year that weren't great, but just because I was surprised that they weren't woke, I was like, oh, that's a good, that is not a movie that forced me to watch two dudes humping randomly for no purpose.
Any other decade, you would have hated this movie. But
yeah, I wouldn't have thought it was good, but I'm just like, finally, 90 minutes where I didn't have to watch random gay sex.
Yeah.
That's just plugged in. And that's how they do some of these films, is they would just plug it in, completely disconnected from the storyline. Because it's leading up to this gay sex scene. You might, tune out. But if they just ambush you with it, you're like, oh, God. It's like the trick you used to play on your friend when you mask a link. You're like, hey, check out on this what happened in this sports game.
And you lemon party them?
And you lemon party them. Yeah. Or you tub girl them.
Yeah. Oh, my God, tub girl. It was awful.
I set those websites as the home website that opened up on the community computers at my college where everybody went to check their email. And then I would just sit in the little, communal area and just watch people go up, with their backpacks, type in or click on the thing to open the browser and just go, watch their heads jerk.
2000 to 2010 had some real internet gems.
Really, it's really disgusting, too. I mean, some of them are still in my head, and I wish I could wash them out. Bad Christian says, what's a lemon party or tub girl? Well, you can look that up on your own, Bad Christian. Yep. Let's make sure you have a browser blocker, a virus blocker. There.
Do not link it in the comments.
Do not link it in the comments, and just be prepared. It will scar you for life. So, they're not wrong. There has been a shift. Top Gun 2.
Yep.
Which was successful. The new Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Top Gunner.
Yeah, is that what it's called? Top Gunner? Top Gunniest?
Will be Top Gunnist.
Yeah. Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley, which wasn't great. It was decent, but it wasn't woke. Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't really that good, but wasn't woke. You can infer the gay sex that might have been going on off screen between the two leads, but nothing on screen was going on. And Gladiator 2. So did we do the show together where I was talking about how Denzel Washington was going around claiming that he did this passionate gay kiss with another character, that they recorded it during the filming of Gladiator 2, but he said they ain't ready for that, so they cut it, and then the director said that never happened, and then another character in that movie, the guy Pascal, the actor, said that him and this other dude decided just to improvise a gay kiss. You imagine being on a film, Ian. Have you ever improvised a gay kiss that wasn't in a script that you were cast? Have you said, I'm just going to kiss this guy?
No.
That's apparently what happened on.
I highly doubt that. That just doesn't sound like something Denzel would do.
Denzel's been saying that he did that and he's proud of it, and
No way.
the producers just weren't ready for that to be on screen. After reading this stuff, I think it's the producers are like, stop saying that. We don't want anybody to know that this gay stuff happened while we were recording it because
Is
we
this
see
good? It's out, right?
I can't imagine it's good. Yeah, I haven't seen
It
it.
kind of sounds terrible, right?
I mean, with all the gay scenes out of it,
Yeah, I mean, come on.
it just blows my mind though. The thinking of an actor to Denzel says that his scene was scripted. The Pascal, is that his name? It's not probably not Pascal.
I
but
just don't believe that Denzel would do that. I got.
he's been talking a lot. He's been bragging about it. Yeah, he's been
bragging
like,
about it. Like,
he said, "I
"Hey,
kissed a man. I kissed a man. I grabbed his face. I kissed a man." And his wife is right there. She's like, "He kissed a man." And he's like, "They ain't ready for that shit. You ain't ready for me to kiss a man." That's what Denzel has been doing. I'll kiss you. And he just grabbed the camera person right there, forced to kiss. He's been kissing every man.
If he had you cornered and he was trying to kiss you, it would be very intense. It'd be like, I gotta get out of here, and I'd have to think to myself, do I just kiss Denzel and get out of this?
You're afraid he's gonna kill you.
Fight my way out of it. What do I do?
Yeah. What's that movie
One
he's called?
harmless little kiss with Denzel Washington.
Yeah. I'm the gay now. I'm the gay now. I'm the motherfucking gay. You just have Brokeback Mountain with him and Samuel L. Jackson. 2. Pedro Pascal, Nate says that he says he's the gayest dude in Hollywood. That's the one I'm talking about. They're like, apparently him and some character, this guy's like 30 years younger than him. They were just gaying it up all over the set, and I just can't. It just blows my mind. Like, if you're doing an improv show, somebody's gonna gay kiss you at some point, and just because that's what people do to be shocking. I'm just so like, if I'm the director of this film and suddenly a gay kiss spontaneously happens that is not in the script, I'm just like, let's take this way back to the motivations of the. Yeah,
like, these guys keep doing it scene after scene after scene.
Guys, you guys are enemies, and you're about to fight to the death.
Yeah, I know, and that's why we're making out.
Right. We're kissing life goodbye.
That's why we're kissing.
Yeah. I was trying to kill him with kisses. No, that's not what happened. It wasn't. That's not what happened in the Coliseum.
Were you there?
That's true. I wasn't there. Maybe history's wrong. Maybe it's all a lie.
Or maybe they were
kissing
kissing Coliseum. That's a phrase.
Kissing the Coliseum. Yeah, right. That's how Marcus Aurelius came to power. He kissed the hardest. Nate says Pedro Pascal is to Hollywood what Jimmy Kimmel is to late night. Jimmy Kimmel would definitely gay kiss Denzel Washington if he got the chance to. So the connection to this, while this is good to me, maybe there'll be good movies made again. But I think the angle of it where there's a little bit of a trick involved, which it won't be a trick as long as people just stay vigilant. And this is what Forrest Mommy and I talked about the other day when we were talking about how the new strategy for Resistance 2.0, a strategy that they've laid out in a new guide that they've sent in emails to people who are signed up to their emails that they've already started to do trainings on, and that there's been numerous articles in progressive publications trying to get the message out to people who read those publications. That's where this is coming from, and that is it's a Bolshevik strategy. That's where it came from. Anybody could use it, but it's a strategy that Vladimir Lenin used to maintain power in communist Russia, hundreds or so years ago, where when the public rejects your overly aggressive, before he came to power, during his rise to power, when the public will accept your aggressive communist appeals, you will do more of them, and they will be everywhere on the national stage. But when they reject them, as I think Trump winning the election, especially the popular vote, represents, is a rejection of those basically commie appeals we've seen that are over the top the past 4 years. They then do what commies do best, and they revert to more indirect, covert strategy that's far less aggressive and that uses completely different language for the purposes of co-opting targets where they believe they can acquire the most power with the least resistance, and that is the towns and locales across the country. That is the city hall seat or the city council seat that might be available in Dyersville, Iowa, Snellville, Georgia, school board position, these administrative positions. Stalin started in an administrative position that nobody else wanted, and then he controlled who the higher-ups, the meetings they had, because he was the one scheduling all the stuff. So there's a lot of power in those positions.
So you think you could maybe be a communist and start from school board meeting
yeah.
and end up as president?
Not as president, but if you can take over the towns, you can. That's why George Soros donates all this money to these locales, and Reid Hoffman also. And
so
from
some school board member to mayor.
Right. Yeah. So they try to co-op these organizations by going in and appearing to be just like those whom they're targeting. They're capture targets, and once they get in these positions, usually targeting positions that nobody else wants to do or paying attention to, power where you can gain it most easily with the least resistance. They work their way up by doing the stuff nobody wants to do, and once they have enough control and influence over those organizations, then they connect with other organizations who have done the same with their people, and they expand out from there, and then they start changing. They start becoming bolder and bolder with their commie-like appeals again, basically changing the culture of that small town. While nobody else is looking, they were out and about, and they wanted the media attention after 2016. They don't want it, not as much this time, and they're not going to try and be everywhere because they want people paying attention to what Trump's doing in D.C. They want people watching the movies and saying, yes, we're celebrating our wins. The culture has changed. So then maybe if the guy who plays the Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, shows up to endorse or even campaign for a city council seat member candidate in a local district in your small town, the people might go, that guy's turned a corner. Maybe I'll support this candidate. And this candidate is a plant. And I'm not speculating about this. They literally said they're going to go after the school boards. They're going to go after the police departments. They talked about in one of the documents they sent how we have to scrap all of the defund the police because we need to win the police of the local towns because those police are the ones that are going to be able to resist everything Trump does when it comes to deporting people and some of the laws they say is going to target transgender, but they're going to completely embrace deception in doing it. And this is what Lennon talks about in his publications. We are going to embrace deception when they will not accept us as we are. And that's what's going to happen. And while it's good, as long as people are vigilant, you're paying attention to who's running for office and shit and who's going to these school board meetings in your town, and you're showing up and let them know, at least let them know, then I think it'll be okay. But they're banking on people, their biggest opposition, celebrating and letting their guard down. And they're going to be directing this Hollywood money that was directed towards the resistance, these pussy marches, all these things that they talk about, these trainings, these indivisible trainings. They're like, the pussy marches didn't work. Throw your pussy hat away. We're not doing that this time. We're directing these energies in these local, easily captured places, and they've already tried it. Like Jane Fonda, and they did a few other test runs this time around. They were funding and holding shows and doing all this shit for a very tiny district, like 13 in Los Angeles candidate, to try and capture a seat, which they lost, which is great. They put all their money behind it and lost. But there's no money behind people who run for local office, really. So they're going to have this reservoir. It's good that they lost that one, especially in L.A., so maybe that trend will continue. But that's what they're doing. And I think like a lot of this cooperation we're seeing, of course, it's going to be a lot of people being, opportunistic and stuff. Mm-hmm. But there's a little bit of a con going on with some of that, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the whole Hollywood detransitioning?
Well, I'm excited to finally see some watchable movies again. That's the number one thing. I don't need to see any more trans superhero shit. I don't need to see any more of this shit. Just give me a break already.
Right.
I hear what you're saying about changing the culture of a town, but I'm curious because usually politics is downstream from culture. It doesn't usually influence culture as much as it picks up what's happening in culture and tries to use it to gain power.
Well, I mean changing the laws and legislation.
Oh, okay, sure.
And then that kind of forces a hand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. They might do it. Hopefully, some of the things that the Trump administration has been talking about. I'd love to see this gutting of institutions. That's what I'm most excited to see.
Yeah.
Most excited to see, like, let's gut these institutions. How powerful, or what does it matter if a school board in California wants to get crazier if there isn't any federal power behind it?
Well, the idea of it is that the states aren't mandated to follow some of these federal rules that are going to be handed down.
There's
and
no
so
strings
they want
attached
to
to this.
capture these things. And one of the things they talked about with the school boards is the vaccine mandate policy. So they talk about how Trump and RFK, they won't mandate vaccines and stuff in the future. But if you want to make sure your town still does, then you need to capture a local school board and make sure that they put those mandates in themselves. So all the stuff they were doing federally, capture the locales and make sure they reject the federal recommendations.
I don't have as much of a problem as this kind of thing happening at the local level as I do at the federal level. I'm a believer in the idea that we are 50 laboratories, and within those laboratories, there's even more laboratories.
Yeah.
And so if you want to go to your kooky little town and everyone who goes to these schools are vaxxed, that's great. Do it over in your little town.
Yeah.
And I'll go find this other place to live. I'm more. That's what I'm okay with. I don't know if they'll be able to successfully do anything other than carve out their own little power centers.
Right.
And that's fine. Just stop trying to make everyone live your fucking weirdo way.
Yeah. So that I completely agree in that, like, smaller should be reserved to the locales.
Yeah.
I think just people being aware that they're going to be coming after the locales hardcore. That's where they're going to be directing their resources and making sure that you're talking to people and just kind of letting them know, people who might oppose them. Like Forest Mommy, Colorado, they're like experimenting with a lot of this stuff with Reid Hoffman money up in Colorado right now. And she's getting up there and calling attention to it. And they are going to start. I mean, they're going to have efforts in every precinct. That's what they brag about, having at least a few people in every precinct. Mm-hmm. They're going to go to the more Democrat-leaning areas when it comes to. They'll be a little more aggressive in capturing those seats that are available. The conservative areas, the deception will be high, but also the focus won't be as heavily there as it will in Dem-leaning areas.
I would be surprised if they'll be able to. They're going to overplay their deception, right? What they would do is they would put their plant in. And what do you think a progressive, like, I'm better at doing this with Reginald's voice than they are with doing it with any other. So what kind of progressive do you think? I mean, what kind of conservative candidate would these progressives create? What would they really be?
I mean, it'd be Reginald. It'd be Reginald in a bow tie, dude. It'd be Reginald. It'd be Reginald being like, I hate gay people. We're getting rid of gay marriage. Meanwhile, he's getting twinked.
But that's not what anybody. That's not what people voted for. That's what these people don't understand. Like, just because we don't want you to force us to use pronouns, all that kind of shit, doesn't mean we suddenly want gay people to go into hiding.
Right. They have so that is part of the problem that they're going to have with this. I'm not saying what they're doing is going to work, but this is what the strategy that they have committed to.
They don't understand their opponent.
Yeah, because the people who they rope into being activists, they've roped them in based on lies that aren't even close to reality. Right. So they're now going to have to be trying to pretend to be those people that they've been, to be this straw man that doesn't exist.
Right.
So it's gonna look like what's wrong with you, dude? Why?
Yeah.
You say?
Well, here's what you do when you see a candidate like that. You enter the ring and you even tack farther to the right. You go to the right of the you go to the right of Attila the Hun is what you do.
Yeah.
You say, kill him. That's not good enough.
Right. No, right in front of us, and we need to live stream it so everybody knows it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the blood. Everybody gets a little bit of the blood. We need to compromise everybody in the killing. I told our friend who plays fake Trump in Jocelyn. I said, if I knew anybody in Atlanta who could run for mayor and get a lot of support, I say it's you. We should run you for mayor. And I think that'd be a good episode of Idiot Losers if we ever do that again.
Can you imagine the stress he would feel?
I know, dude. He was getting stressed. Me telling him.
Everybody fucking hates me.
I was like, dude, we're gonna run you for mayor. Dude. It's gonna happen. I think we need to get that going. So this isn't the only Hollywood story that they had about this. There's like 3 stories about the unwokening, and so like Netflix also. Netflix used to just be super gay, but they've had the boxing match sucked. They had the live boxing, live NFL games are coming. They're advertising old shows. They're like promoting Lost, which Lost is not woke.
Are we gonna get into that? We're gonna start having Lost watch parties.
I never saw Lost. I just started
I.
watching it, and I'm pretty sure the island's purgatory. I don't know.
Are you really gonna watch that?
Yeah, I started watching. I remember our friend Lev talking about it all the time back in the day. It was one of those shows that I boycotted because everybody watched it.
It's a stupid show, Brad. It's just gonna lead you down. Watch it. It's just a soap opera.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why they were promoting it. So the only reason I watched this because they were like, every time I turned it on, they're pushing it. And this, to me, tells me it's probably because of this. Let's promote some older shows that were popular that were also not woke.
Yeah.
And so today, another Pixar-related story about this detransitioning of Hollywood, except instead of a movie, this is Pixar, their first ever long-form series, which is called Win or Lose. It's an animated show that follows members of a co-ed middle school softball team as they gear up for the big championship game. Was supposed to feature a transgender storyline, which is obviously why they would have been dominating in the softball. But Disney ordered them to cut the trans storyline.
They took a big eraser and said,
"Yeah, they snipped it right off the crotch of this show." And it's not going to be there anymore. And so a spokesperson for Disney explained the decision by saying, when it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and on their own timeline.
Duh.
Right?
Duh.
Even though they were trying to have these laws that that let students transition or tell their teachers are transitioning without reporting it to the parents.
Doing improv in Orlando, the home of Disney, right?
Yeah.
I did improv for years there, right? For tourists. And we had a show that had to be PG-13.
Yeah.
That was the rule.
Gay is what that.
Yeah, it was gay. No, it had to be PG-13. But because the rule was, and what our director would often say is like, look, we don't want any of our audience members, these are families, we don't want any of our audience members to have uncomfortable conversations on the way home. But this is where you get to have fun with the double entendre, right? You get to have fun because you can make jokes that kids get at one level, adults are getting at another level. Everybody's happy. Why? Just that's it. Just make everybody fucking
like
happy.
Disney used to do all the time.
Yeah, we have to ram in like, oh, and by the way, Billy's a girl
who protects the climate.
Yeah, who protects the climate.
who has the least amount of greenhouse emissions coming from Billy's body.
Yeah, I don't know. Look,
Slate talked about it too. So Slate released a podcast, and so all this is coming out
musicals. Today. They have all kinds of entertainment.
Yeah, they made a podcast called Make Hollywood Great Again, and they asked the question: is the White House going the way of, or is Hollywood going the way of the White House? Which they think it is, and they point to the success of the Daily Wire's movie "Am I Racist?" and think that perhaps there's going to be more movies like. So they're anticipating the full-on, over-the-top switch by Hollywood.
Yeah.
where it's just like banging chicks.
It's gonna be the 80s again.
It's gonna be the 80s.
We're finally gonna. We're gonna. I'll know that Hollywood is no longer woke when someone makes a college spring break movie that's just filled with gratuitous topless women. Then you're gonna know.
Porky's,
Revenge
of the Nerds. Even
it's a spring break movie. They've got a big scene where it's a hilarious belly flop contest. All kinds of fun stuff.
Right.
Maybe we'll even make this movie. It'll be a propaganda report film.
Yeah. No improvised man-on-man kissing for no reason. In this film.
No.
And if there is, it's going to be left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, not on the page.
We will not cast Denzel.
Yeah.
Denzel's like, I only want green M&Ms. I want red jelly beans, and I better be kissing a dude. Here's Mad Al.
Yay.
So Mad Al's the one who launched the whole resistance in the first place.
Who is that sitting across from her?
That is, I don't know. This guy's an ACLU guy is who he is.
This guy.
The title of this, so this was the title of like 3, it had this word in it, or this phrase, firewall for freedom or firewall democracy against Trump. And this is the theme of what I was talking about in all of their materials is how are we going to firewall, how are we going to protect
Plans protect the U.S. democracy from Trump.
And we're going to do it locally is what they say.
They won't even, they use the word and they just hope you don't ask them, well, what do you mean by democracy?
Right. No, they don't. If they ever described it, it would alienate 95% because they want people to project what they think it is so they can include themselves.
Sons of bitches.
This is them kind of talking about a little bit what I was referring to there with the local takeover.
I really appreciate
it's great.
That's she's a very fast talker right there. But yeah, the ACLU is a major part of this also.
It's great to be with you.
Tell me about how you at the ACLU.
Look at that guy's suit and his tie. He looks like he's in the mafia.
It's great to be with you. It's great to be with you.
Doesn't he look like he murders people for the mafia with that outfit? He with that handkerchief, he wipes the blood off.
Yeah. But he's like the kind of assassin that comes in. He kills you with like injectables and gas and stuff.
While he talks to you and says he wishes he didn't have to do it.
This doesn't have to be messy.
Yeah, he's like, they're going to think you died of a peanut allergy.
Yeah. He's got a doctor's bag and old.
Yeah, exactly.
are thinking about your plans to try to defend American civil liberties in this term versus the first term?
Well, we've been planning for almost a year. We were anticipating the possibility that he would win this election. So we've spent thousands of staff hours.
Been planning a year. So the pollsters, they couldn't get this even close to correct, but the ACLU has been planning for this for a year.
Just in case.
Studying Party 2025.
A year ago.
Right.
Joe Biden was retarded. It was obvious he was retarded.
Tracking the campaign promises, going back and playing back what happened in Trump 1.0 to see what might happen with Trump 2.0. And so we've been trying to get ready for this whole period of time. We can't run the same playbook. They're going to be more aggressive. They're smarter. They're faster off the block. They are really they're running the gauntlet on many of the policy issues that they didn't dare try last time. They're going to run the ball down the field. And so we have to be much smarter and much better prepared. Litigation is going to be key. The courts still are a place where we have to turn to. We have to be wide-eyed.
Do what?
He doesn't know how to play football. If you were a football coach and they said, well, they're going to be, they're going to be faster, they're going to be running the ball down the field, so we just have to be smarter.
Yeah.
I would be like, Coach, could you break that down for me?
He's like Tim. He played for Tim Walsh. That's how he learned his football knowledge. This guy.
That the courts are also increasingly conservative, and he will appoint new judges onto the courts. It's also true that Biden appointed a record number of judges on the courts, and so not all is lost. But good lawyers are going to have to earn their pay by picking the right clients, the right cases, the right theories. Where do you file? Where do you settle? Where do you really push the envelope? And that's what really we're working through right now.
When you talk to regular Americans who aren't lawyers, who aren't people who are engaged in this fight in a practical, paid to do it as part of their job kind of way, and you hear people feeling intimidated,
Sure.
feeling overwhelmed by the pace at which we're getting sort of alarming news about the extremism of their plans. What do you tell them about the prospects for holding line?
Well, local governments, the state attorneys general, the governors, the mayors, we have.
Ian, if you could bump your audio up a bit. Stella said your audio is a bit low.
Oh,
While
gotcha.
we're listening to the rest of this, here he is talking about the local mayor takeover.
By the pace at which we're getting sort of alarming news about the extremism of their plans. What do you tell them about the prospects for holding line?
Well, local governments, the state attorneys general, the governors, the mayors, we have this whole plan around a firewall for freedom, we call it. The idea that these local officials can really play an important role in stopping the worst of the government abuses.
How so?
Well, for instance, when they're going to try to detain and deport all these hundreds of thousands,
All student films have dude-on-dude kisses.
up to 1 million people, that's an operation that they have the legal power to do the raids, but the logistics. And they're going to need mayors and governors or city councils to either give them access to police officers or not, jails. Where are you going to house all these folks? Right? And so part of what we're doing is we're preparing executive orders and we're organizing our folks to put pressures on elected officials so they don't roll over. They should sever these relationships they have with the federal government on immigration enforcement. They should make sure that our prisons and our jails are off limits.
So the other articles about this, I don't think he says it here, but they all said, quit the defund the police stuff because now's the time to win your local police to capture them.
They should begin to think about what actions they could take to pardon immigrants who have a criminal record because they drove on a suspended license. Well, let's take them out of harm's way.
They could do that now.
Let's commute.
They could do that now in the transition.
Yes. And so part of what we got to do is we got to swarm our allies in some of these places. And even in red states, you have some blue mayors. And so there's a whole game plan for this. And I think part of what we're trying to do is breaking it down. What can be done by the courts and lawyers? What can be done by citizens? What can governors do? What can mayors do? And really have a game plan for that.
When
God,
people
they're just like. Is that better? By the way, that mic. Is that better?
It sounds good to me. What do you guys think in the chat?
He sounds just like your cable company. All they want is new clients to take the incentive deals.
Yeah. Right.
That's all he's working on. Why
They have a
is
job
the
for everybody
ACLU
too. You notice that they have something for everybody to do.
Yeah. Why are they so absolutely obsessed with immigrants? I just don't get it. I really don't, man.
Well, so it's that elimination of a border. That's that communism.
Well, I guess I do get it. I don't get how they keep getting away without explaining it.
Yeah, well, that they don't ever explain anything. It's just this. That's why it's always like fear is greater than it's like or what motivates us the most. That's why you keep everybody terrified of what's coming, so that they will act based on that fear as opposed to because you think myopically, short term. And they feed them the fear and they feed them the instructions on how to avoid this thing that they fear the most. But the fact that, I didn't know until this. I mean, I assumed, but I hadn't heard any of them say that they've been planning this for over a year. When Forrest Mommy and I talked about this the other day, but
no, that's interesting.
He's using the same language that they used. Now they elaborate in these documents about this local capture. But my whole point in the Hollywood thing isn't to say that it's good, that it's bad, that Hollywood is going less woke, as these articles are saying. It is to say that they are depending on their biggest opposition when it comes to energy and funding, focusing on everything, the national, the Trump circus nationally, and the wins, and owning the libs, and not paying attention to what's going on right underneath their noses in their own hometowns. Now, as long as people just keep their eyes open, then these things can clearly be opposed, because the test runs they did in California this time around, they lost. So, yeah. And like you said, they don't actually know what they're gonna what they're pretending to be, because they've been lying to their people who they're gonna rely on about what.
I want to see who they come up with. Like, let's make the movie of the fake candidate they come up with. That'd be hilarious. That would be a funny documentary to make.
It's called Reginald Banks Chicks is what it's called. Yeah, right.
I'm
White
actor
Reginald bangs white
Vandermeer,
chicks.
and I am going undercover.
To be a redneck politician.
Right. And he just can't ever. He could put him in a propaganda film.
Yeah.
Or, it could be Reginald is competing with Elliot Page for the really hottest chick.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah. That opening scene of season 4 of Umbrella Academy was one of the most hilarious, ridiculous
Why?
things I've ever seen
What
in my
is
life.
it about trans men? They just want to all be James Dean.
Right.
You know?
If you haven't seen the opening 5 minutes of the show called The Umbrella Academy on Netflix, and you want to get a good laugh, watch
go to
it.
lemonparty.
Go to lemonparty.org or whatever it is.
And you'll be able to see.
Right.
The
So make sure
opening scene.
you do it at work and your speakers are very, very,
Yep.
they're all the way up.
Bring everyone around. Your boss will love it.
Yeah. Make sure your boss is there as well as the oldest lady who you work with. Turn says blast off and his called you a flamboyant or pumping called you a flamboyant minion. That's not kind. I mean, we're both flamboyant, but he says we're pumping your holiday spirit to peak levels of excitement. I'm squirming to contain it. Well, we're glad. We are very, very glad. If you were in front of us, we'd do an improvised gay kiss.
Yep.
Perhaps. We had a comment from Groby earlier talking about the circumcision, talking about the decision by Disney to snip off that trans storyline from their animated Pixar. The fact that there was a trans storyline in an animated Pixar show about teenagers, that's the truly disturbing part of that right there. That's all for that. Just keep an eye out because they're coming to your locales. They are telling you, and that's what they'll do.
I think this true inner shed that person who called me flamboyant, that person is British.
I think you might be playing with us too a little bit.
I think
yeah,
they're British.
Definitely.
Because
definitely
it's
British.
striking, squally,
Using that language,
flamboyant, just using that language.
So Trump, you saw the story about Trump and ABC News, right? And they're paying they're paying $15 million and
Hilarious.
Stephanopoulos. It's $16 million when you talk factor in the lawyers' fees.
And Steph has to put in $1 million of his own.
Yeah, so I told on the show yesterday, I talked about why that's not necessarily a good thing, the way that went down.
Sure.
Which is because which is an opposite take of what the media is saying about all this. But what essentially ABC News did is they paid $16 million to enable themselves to continue defaming people if they choose to. Because had it
Right.
gone to court and had they lost, it would have set a
Right.
precedent that all of the media would have been a lot more bound to. So this is going to have an effect to, you talk about me, you got to pay a bunch of money, but $16 million is nothing to ABC News.
Nothing
$1
to
million
ABC.
is nothing to Stephanopoulos.
We'll see if there's other law. Apparently there are other
Oh,
lawsuits.
there is other
out
lawsuits.
there.
That's this story here is about
Yeah.
Trump after that story.
Yeah.
So what Stephanopoulos did, most of you guys probably know this, the reason his was so obvious, and I pointed this out and played the clip at the time that it happened, isn't because he just propagandized and people say radical stuff about each other all the time in politics. He actually said multiple times during this interview with Nancy Mace, he said, no, he insisted Donald Trump was found guilty. He was found liable for raping E. Jean Carroll. And he emphasized it multiple times when the reality is, in the court documents, that the jurors actually said that they found that Trump did not rape. I mean, they expressly said he did not rape. So he said the opposite of what a court a finding by a jury said.
There were articles about this. There were articles from several publications that said, I think the Washington Post
They
had
did it all
one.
the time. Yeah, I said they need to sue all these people for defamation. Washington
Yeah.
Post did it, and that is going to an extreme that is the most clear-cut case of defamation, even if it's a public figure, which the standard is higher.
Jim Acosta was hilarious. Did you see his reaction to this? He was just
Authoritarian,
so
going to squash free speech, probably.
I mean,
I'm
that's
guessing.
it's just rich. It's just rich that he
Yeah.
says all these things. Well, yeah, it's just rich that,
that he's doing that. That's
he's
the angle
doing
they're
it. It's
taking. That it's
hilarious.
shocking.
It's shocking. How dare he do this?
And it's capitulation is what Slate called what ABC News did.
Yeah.
What Slate described it as, they said this. Slate said, the reason that George Stephanopoulos said that Trump was liable for rape repeatedly, even though the official finding was that he was not liable for rape. They literally said that in their conclusion. Now, they found him liable for defamation and for a very, very broad definition of sexual assault, which includes things like poking somebody like in the face, the way the judge gave the jury instructions.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Can
They
you get
said,
turned on
Slate
if someone
said,
pokes you in the face.
so the judge gave jury instructions. This is what can be included, and anything from this to this can be sexual assault or whatever the official thing they said he did do was. And it was, I don't have the exact definition or language here used, but it was like something as little as poking somebody in the face who didn't want to be poked. Like doing this to, putting your finger. So it gave them that jury, which was in New York, which they created this law for 1 year. They had this law that enabled people to file lawsuits for sexual assault dating back 25 or 30 years, which strangely allowed her to do this, which they then immediately changed the law. So only 1 year you could do that. It was specifically they changed the law to do this. The judge then said, we know you're a jury in New York, and we know you want to find him guilty of something, otherwise you're going to get shamed. I'm going to give you this super broad definition so that you can find guilt here. And that became Trump raped her in the media.
Yeah.
And then
she still owes him money. by the
E. Jean
way.
Carroll?
Yeah.
No, E. Jean Carroll.
Not her. No, not E.G. Carroll. That's Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels,
Owes him
she had a
money.
defamation lawsuit as well. But that's how they manipulate all that with, judge's jury instructions. He can get a conclusion that he wants to get using those in these cases. But Slate was like, the reason Stephanopoulos said that wasn't because he knew about the court finding. He was a journalist. Why would he know about that? It's because his definition of rape is different. His definition of rape is the same thing as the definition of sexual assault. He was found guilty of or liable for sexual assault. That is Stephanopoulos' definition of rape. That's how they explained it. This
Well,
broad
guess what? Guess what we just learned? He's wrong.
right.
Yeah, actually,
And they
he's wrong.
said
that's what we just learned.
that
So
this
his
is an
definition's
authoritarian
expensive.
dictator taking over, and that ABC News capitulated
Yeah.
simply because George Stephanopoulos wasn't using an official definition of rape. According
Well,
to this.
ABC
It's crazy.
News wants to be able to still do this, but
That's
at
why
the
they
same
said it,
time,
yeah.
you're right. It does help them because it probably scares the shit out of places like Vox, Axios. These smaller places are probably scared shitless about
Yep.
saying the wrong thing.
Right. And they want to create this feeling that you can't state opinions or mock people. And Trump needs to be careful in the lawsuits that he pursues. Now, given the media has committed so much defamation
Right.
that you can just pick actual defamation without, punishing people for free speech. And that's
Right.
what they want to direct this towards, that an authoritarian is not going to let you criticize them. And that was the subject of this article by Slate today. And the reason that we're seeing in the news today, or the angle they're taking on this story. So Trump sued the Des Moines Register for election interference over their polling.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
He
Yeah.
talked about this, and he said, this is at Mar-a-Lago yesterday, they're suing this pollster for brazen election interference and fraud over a poll the newspaper published showing him on track to lose Iowa to Kamala, even though he won by 13 points, and this is a traditionally red or a Republican area. And so it was just, polls are, you can go back and look at the history of polls. Edward Bernays talked about polls all the time. This is why I don't ever trust polls, because they've strictly been a tool for manipulation since the first
Yeah.
day that they were created.
Yeah, this is one lawsuit. When I first heard he was doing it, I was like, this one you should let go. I don't know if you should consider a poll as election interference we all made fun of it as soon as it came out. Everybody made fun of it.
Right. Yeah. It was almost one of those things where it's almost like parody.
Yeah.
'Cause it was
As
so
soon as that poll came out, we're like, yeah,
laughable.
whatever.
And he might not win that. But the idea is that he's suing these media organizations, which he has a lawsuit. He's got a couple lawsuits out. He's also currently suing CBS for $10 billion for deceptive trade practices. And he's suing.
Oh yeah, that one. He may.
It's a big ask.
So even if he loses the lawsuit, what he's doing is he's getting a conversation started where maybe, hopefully, some low information people are now picking up the fact that, oh, you mean CBS edits those interviews? There are people that are that naive, I think. I think there are people that are that naive, they don't understand that anything recorded has been edited.
Right. It's been super edited.
Super edited.
It's so edited. It's crazy. Yeah, so during the press conference about this lawsuit, Trump said, what did he say? He said that, and by the way, he's not wrong in the election interference thing. That's why polls were created, was to interfere in elections.
Right.
It's like almost, you can go back and look at the Gallup. I think the guy's name was Gallup. Edward Bernays talked about him all the time, and some of these other pollsters. They literally created this shit to manipulate elections. So it's all polls, basically, one way or another.
Yeah.
They can be a reflection of reality, but they weren't created for that. So that's only going to be an exceptional case.
Ask certain questions to the right people and get the answers you want.
Right. Yes, Denzel Washington and whoever he kissed unseen. Mm-hmm. And Pascal. And it's just... And people started... Scott Adams talks about this. He thinks
the
people
gladiators won't fight. They're just kissing.
See, I can't imagine. Like, if you're a young actor, too, like, and Denzel Washington is, like, kissing you, and you're like, this isn't in the script, or that other guy is a big Hollywood guy, he's kissing you. He's like, oh, I better do it, you know? And Pascal's like, come on, the scene, the cameras are still rolling. We have these cameras hidden in my trailer. We're going to continue this scene. It's part of the movie. So Trump said during this interview, saying it costs a lot of money. We want to, basically, we want to send a message. He's not being shy about it. We want to send a message so they stop lying all the time. And the media is saying that he is going to target you even if you're on social media, because Trump said he will sue people on social media who defame him if necessary. They just need to be careful about crossing the line of rhetoric, parody, and opinion.
Yeah.
Stephanopoulos one is clear cut. So we'll see where that goes.
No, Stephanopoulos knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Of course he knew. Yeah, he's Stephanopoulos used to be the communication chief for the Clintons. His organization is long been speculated to be controlled by the CIA. Of course, all the media is really Mockingbird 2.0 is kind of out in the open. But yeah, that's the authoritarian spin that they're going to put on it. It's going to be like, Grandma, you once said you called Trump Drump, and he's not a Drump. Okay, that's a lie. He's going to sue your old ass for defamation after he picks you up as you try to cross the border into Canada while you're fleeing for your safety. And then he's going to force you to have a pregnancy on you at 75 years old.
Have fun living in the 51st state.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Trudeau, we'll make it the 51st state. I got a couple more. I don't know how much time you have left. You have to get out. You got to work early tomorrow.
Yeah, I do. I have about 5-10 minutes.
All right, so let's we'll skip the. We can talk about all the wasteful. Basically, it was revealed that $267 million were spent on the Biden campaign, our tax dollars, on grants that were given to organizations to create persuasion campaigns to prevent people from doing anything except follow the official instructions by the CDC about COVID. That's where, if you included language like misinformation and COVID in your grant and stopping it, then you got upwards of this. You got some of the $67 million that was spent to propaganda. We paid to propagandize ourselves is what the finding is. I mean, it's crazy to me. It's our money. They've even admitted that what they told us was not true. That was used just to get people to comply. It was lies. And that was our money spent on lying to ourselves.
Jeez. We're so cheap. We should have spent more.
Why didn't we get a grant on that is what I'm saying. What are the language that we're going to have to include in our grant request while Trump's in office? AI, probably crypto, Bitcoin.
Crypto, AI.
We have a unique crypto Bitcoin AI project that's going to get rid of all the trans. We're getting all the money.
I'll take some of that money.
I'll take it too, dude. I'll take it too. So just to close out, this is an old thing that I never saw it, but it's funny to me, especially what she's doing now. This is Nancy Mace. Nancy, what do you think of Nancy Mace? Great tits, shut up is what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's going through some hard times. That's what it seems like to me.
Right. No. Oh yeah. You think? You think that's why she's
Well, she's
vying for so much attention right now?
She said that she just seems like someone who is,
I bet she wouldn't be kicking those trans out of the women's bathroom if they were the only ones paying attention to her.
Yeah.
She said, "Come on in." Look at me. Yeah, here she is. I used to like Nancy Mace until she just got way too. I can't remember how you expressed it, but she just went a little too far with her lobbying. Not that I disagree, but I don't believe her.
Yeah, it's just a little. It's a little much. Is this her?
Yeah, this is her.
What's the gross act with two women and a man? Please.
It's actually, I was not expecting this to be what it was. I thought it's not.
They want to make it sound like it's some kind of threesome.
Like she's getting a lemon partied.
But it's them
at a bar. So I'm with your line of thinking here. I thought this was going to be nothing. It's not how they describe it there, but it's also more than I thought it would be. And this is from like 2017.
Okay.
Look at that! Look at that! So, for those just listening, it starts off with Nancy Mace taking a shot of liquor and then kissing a really kind of a lesbian who's like the fucking dude lesbian. You know what I'm talking about?
She's a Trumper
with a Trump shirt on. And then going over to so she takes a shot of liquor, Mace does, then she goes and she like makes out and spits it in the mouth of this like hardcore Trump lesbian.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't that's not the kind of thing.
It's what people do when they party sometimes.
Yeah, they do stupid shit. It's unfortunate that what shitty friend released that?
It's probably her ex-husband.
Could be. But
I don't know if the guy. So then the lesbian goes over and spits the liquor into the mouth.
Yeah, I mean.
This is definitely pre-COVID days. You'd have to have a hole in your COVID mouth.
You've shotgunned before, right?
Is that what this is called? Shotgunning?
No, yeah.
Oh, bong. Shotgunning a bong. I think I did that one time, and the room spun for 2 days.
Person. Then
they blow it into your mouth. Yeah, my German friend did that to me in college, and the world spun for a day and a half, and then I never did it again. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing, though. They're partying like they're 25, and they're in their 40s here, it looks like. The lesbian spits it into the mouth of, I don't know who this guy is. It's a bald older guy.
The guy with the camera came up with that idea.
Totally. He's like, they're drunk enough to do this. There's the guy. Look at that. Why does it keep showing this? Look at that. And then the bald guy leans over to like grandma to his left. It's a bunch of white people too to that music,
and that guy's throwing up.
They all threw up the next day. That was just a bunch of people who were like, well, we should get a little crazy tonight. And whoever the camera, you're right. Who was the camera person? Who was in their circle?
Yeah, who? That is gross. That's the kind of thing I would just do. That's when someone suggests that That's when I go, man, I stayed too long.
All right. Now put his dick in your mouth.
Yeah, I gotta go. Uber's here.
Yeah. There's a couple people at Relapse that would sometimes after like 4 a.m. they'd be pulling out a camcorder at the time, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Summer? Summer, what are you doing?" If you know, I don't know if you ever met that person, but yeah, that's it. All right, this is it. Then we'll go. I think it's like other than a Nancy Mace sucking face note.
So we're gonna baby bird next time we do a live show.
We'll baby bird.
Cool.
That's a good way. Yeah, it's a baby bird. We'll baby bird a little bit of little Christmas. What people drink it quick. A little eggnog. We'll baby bird some eggnog. We'll get Josh to do it.
Yeah, let's baby bird some eggnog.
Yeah, we'll get Josh to dress up as Jocelyn, and then we'll get we'll get somebody on here, the kid who's drunk, who thinks he's a woman, and he'll baby bird it into their mouth. That'll be fun. I'm not going to go through all these, but this is just one of those. They have all these end-of-year things. The 10 wellness TikTok trends defined in 2024. There was one here that was interesting. I thought it was a good idea, actually. Unless this is the wrong article. Must be. Okay, so one of the TikTok trends apparently 2024 is getting rejected, rejection therapy. And the one they highlight is I'm not going to play the video, but it's an Asian girl, and the quote on the screen says, "Asking to make an announcement on a flight. Day 5 of rejection therapy." And it goes on to talk about all that. I just thought that was an interesting thing because I'm familiar with rejection therapy. I've been at coffee shops before, just outside writing, and had people come up to me and ask me.
Auditions are rejection therapy.
That's exactly. The time I'm thinking about, I was reading, I was preparing for an audition, and I was writing notes and reading an audition script. Somebody came up and did some rejection therapy to me. I can't remember what this guy asked. It was not to make out like Denzel Washington on a scene that gets on the editing room floor. But after he did it, I just kind of watched him walk around and do it. And improv, auditioning, it's all rejection therapy. I think this is actually a good exercise to do. And the one that this person's doing is just like a crazy ask. Let me make this announcement on the flight. You're almost certain you're going to get rejected, so there's no pressure. You're trying to win romance or have yourself judged personally. So it's kind of a safe one. But also, you do stuff this kind of out there enough. Eventually, somebody's going to be like, Spirit Airlines, maybe, yeah, fuck, you want to fly the plane? Talk to him the whole time. You're going to get a yes. You will get a yes eventually.
You will get a yes, yeah.
And it really, it proves that, like, a lot of the things that hold us back in life is that fear of rejection.
Because what if the pilot is going through yes therapy?
Yeah, yes
You're
and
going
therapy.
through, and he's going through yes
he's taking
therapy.
improv class.
He's taking improv. He's doing yes therapy. You're going through rejection therapy. Oh my God!
Yeah, fly the plane. Yes, and right. Swing it. Yeah, hell yeah. Fly. Yeah. Sling it around that tree. I'll help you. Yeah. So you will get a yes, and you won't get the yes to those things that might be like surprising requests if you don't ever ask. And I think this kind of thing is beneficial for anybody to do and mess. And it can be fun too. Like I was thinking about, maybe we can talk about this next show. What ridiculous rejection therapy ideas could we give people for them to go try that might actually end up in a yes? You got to be ready for that yes, though, if you get it, you know? So hey, gonna bang your wife? Yeah, sure. And my wife is Denzel Washington.
This would be a good Impractical Jokers bit.
Yeah. So, propagandafight.com. Thank you guys for watching and for the chats. Sorry I didn't get to as many of the chats today. I appreciate pilots go through ejection therapy. Said Stella. Yes, very funny. Missed your wit in the chat, Stella. Stella, do you think you could draw? I'll send you a message about this for talking later. First shot says a moist mouth. That's always a good thing to say. I encourage anybody to walk up to anybody you meet, stranger or somebody you know, and say, hey, you look like you got a moist mouth, and just see where the conversation goes. Report back your findings on that, please. Your mouse looks, your mouse and your mouth, a little
It's
moist.
pretty moist.
Use the word moist as often as possible.
Yeah. Walk into a clothing store. Yeah, can I help you? Yeah, I'm looking for something moist.
Yeah, a moist rag. Just please make it moist. I know you gotta go. Sorry. We could do this all night. We could be moist all night. All right.
Hey, you have a moist night, dude.
Yeah, you guys do ever have a moist evening? We will talk to you next to the Mile High erection therapy. Yes, that would be fantastic. All right,
good.
we'll continue this next time. Ian, thank you.
Yeah,
Ian, follow Ian. Tell them where to follow you on
Yeah,
social
you
media.
can find me on X at Hello Covello. Give me a follow. Give me a request. I'll let you follow me. I'm tired of all the Asian bots spamming me.
Every time Elon does a bot purge, I get more Asian bots liking my posts. I'm going to start to think they're real. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Have a wonderfully moist evening. See you later, Ian.
See ya.
Merry Christmas.